I showed up at what was supposed to be a simple family engagement dinner, already expecting the usual emotional chaos, but nothing prepared me for what was sitting in the driveway. A luxury SUV so shiny it looked like it was designed by a billionaire who had never experienced a single inconvenience in life. Giant bow on top, glowing lights under the chassis, and a smug crowd of relatives taking pictures like they were witnessing history instead of my inheritance being quietly cremated in real time. Inside, the air smelled like expensive champagne and fake happiness. My sister Chloe was floating around in a designer dress, pretending she was suddenly the main character of the universe. Her fiancé Darren stood next to her like a well-trained accessory, nodding whenever she laughed too loudly. My parents were practically vibrating with pride, greeting guests and casually mentioning how we all contributed to the car parked outside. I already knew what that meant. It meant my inheritance. The one Grandma specifically set aside for me, carefully structured, legally protected, or so I thought. Every smile in that room felt rehearsed. Every compliment felt like it had a price tag attached. Then came the moment I was waiting for, my parents calling for a toast. They wanted me to stand there, in front of everyone, and celebrate the fact that my financial future had been converted into Chloe's engagement trophy. That's when I noticed her. The alien photographer. She wasn't from Earth Standard Media, that was obvious. Slightly iridescent skin under the lights, hovering camera rig that floated instead of being held, and a bored expression like she had seen 10,000 versions of this exact human stupidity across the galaxy. She caught my eye while adjusting her lens and mouthed something that looked suspiciously like, "This family is insane." For the first time all evening, I almost smiled. The moment the front gate lights flickered and the air shifted, I knew something had changed. My parents were still mid-toast, glasses raised, trying to drag me into their performance, when the sound of an old engine, too heavy, too deliberate, rolled into the driveway. Conversation slowed. Someone near the buffet actually stopped chewing. Then she appeared. Grandma stepped out of a worn hover van that looked like it had survived wars, arguments, and probably 3 different planetary atmospheres. No glitter, no luxury, no showmanship. Just presence. The kind that made rich guests suddenly remember they had somewhere else to be. Even Chloe's fake smile twitched. She didn't greet anyone. She didn't need to. Her eyes went straight to the luxury SUV parked under the spotlight like a trophy. The silence that followed was almost comedic, like the entire party collectively realized they had miscalculated something expensive. My mother rushed forward first, her voice too sweet, too rehearsed. She said something about a family decision and temporary reallocation. My father followed with a nervous laugh, calling it an investment in celebration. Grandma listened without blinking. Then she reached into her coat and pulled out an envelope so plain it looked almost insulting compared to the glowing car behind her. She didn't open it immediately. She just tapped it twice against her palm. "I've been watching the inheritance account for 2 years," she said calmly. That line alone drained the color from the room. She opened the envelope and started laying documents on the nearest table like she was dealing cards in a game everyone else had already lost. Transaction logs, timestamps, approvals, or more accurately, the lack of them. My parents leaned closer, trying to laugh it off, but their voices were already breaking. Then came the real blow. "The vehicle," she said, glancing at the SUV, "is registered under my trust. You didn't buy it. You borrowed it from paperwork you don't control." Chloe's confident little world cracked instantly. Darren stopped smiling altogether, suddenly very interested in his phone. And somewhere behind me, the alien photographer let out a quiet, delighted sound like she was witnessing premium entertainment. Grandma finally looked at me. Not the crowd. Not my parents. Me. "I wanted to see what they'd do with your future," she said. "Now I know." The first thing Grandma did after speaking was something almost too calm to feel real. She pressed a small device on her wrist. The luxury SUV outside gave a soft mechanical hum, like it had just been reminded who it actually belonged to. A second later, its doors locked with a sharp, final click. No warning. No drama. Just ownership being enforced. Chloe's face went pale, then red, then somewhere between panic and rage as she rushed outside in heels that were clearly not made for sprinting. Darren followed her halfway, stopped, then decided the safer emotional investment was probably distance. That alone would have been funny if the situation wasn't already collapsing into pure chaos. Inside, the party didn't recover, it mutated. Guests started whispering openly, the kind of whispering that isn't discreet at all. Someone near the dessert table began recording. Another uncle accidentally turned on his live stream while trying to capture a memory. And suddenly the entire room was one bad decision away from going public. My parents tried to regain control, but their voices had that desperate edge now, like people trying to restart a system that was already shutting down. Grandma ignored them completely and sat down at the table, calmly taking a shrimp cocktail like she hadn't just dismantled their entire plan. That's when Lena, the alien photographer, drifted closer to me. Her camera floated between us, still recording, but her attention wasn't on the chaos anymore. It was on me. She leaned slightly and whispered that humans were either adorably dramatic or statistically exhausting, then added that this family was both at maximum volume. For some reason, that made me laugh. We ended up standing slightly apart from the disaster, watching it unfold like front-row witnesses to a badly written reality show. She asked me if all human engagements were this unstable. I told her no, just the ones involving my family and stolen inheritance. That got a real laugh out of her, sharp, genuine, unexpected. Behind us, Chloe was now arguing with Darren, who had just discovered through a whispered phone call that her wealthy lifestyle was apparently funded by paperwork fraud and wishful thinking. The engagement energy evaporated in real time. Grandma, still unbothered, finally spoke again without looking up. "I didn't raise this money to create entitlement," she said. "I raised it to see who would respect it." Then she slid a final document across the table toward me. "And you pass," she added simply. The aftermath didn't hit all at once. It spread slowly, like a bad rumor that finally learns it's true. Within days, the engagement party stopped being a family event and became an online clip people kept sharing with captions like, "Rich family implosion speedrun," and "Inheritance theft but make it luxury." Chloe's perfectly staged engagement photos were still circulating, except now they were being used as memes with captions nobody in our family had the emotional strength to read twice. Darren disappeared first. Not dramatically, just quietly. One day he was there arguing about misunderstandings, and the next he was suddenly reconsidering compatibility due to financial misalignment, which was a polite way of saying he didn't want to marry into chaos that came with receipts. My parents tried damage control. Apologies that sounded rehearsed, explanations that contradicted each other, and emotional guilt trips that would have worked on me a year ago. But something had already shifted. Maybe it was Grandma exposing everything in front of witnesses. Maybe it was the alien photographer laughing at the exact moment my entire family image collapsed. Or maybe it was just realizing I wasn't obligated to clean up their mess anymore. Then Grandma called me again. This time it wasn't to a party or a confrontation. It was to a quiet place, no audience, no performance. Lena was there too, leaning against a railing, pretending not to be curious while absolutely listening to everything. That's when Grandma finally explained the real inheritance. It wasn't just money. It was leverage. Years ago, she had quietly invested in a struggling human-run interstellar logistics company that everyone dismissed as too small to matter. Everyone except her. Now it wasn't small anymore. It controlled routes across multiple trade sectors, and the ownership, her ownership, had been transferred cleanly into my name. "You don't inherit wealth," she said. "You inherit responsibility." Lena glanced at me and muttered that humans were either lucky or terrifyingly well planned. I told her I wasn't sure which one I was yet. Grandma just smiled like she already knew. Later that night, everything finally clicked into place. Not revenge, not money, but direction. I wasn't watching my life get stolen anymore. I was standing at the start of something that actually belonged to me. Lena walked beside me when we left, teasing that I was now officially interesting in a bureaucratic way, which apparently was high praise in her culture. I asked her if that meant she'd stick around. She said she only travels with people who survive their own family drama with humor intact. Behind us, somewhere far away, my old life was still burning itself out. Ahead of us, for the first time, nothing felt borrowed.